We're on Chullin, Perek Ted, Mishnah Zayin, 7th Mishnah, in the 9th chapter of Masechet Chullin. Really interesting, kind of weird Mishnah, a little bit difficult to understand. So I made a chart, hopefully that will help. We're going to talk about Aver and Basar Hamidul Basar. Let me go whole thing. Hamidul Dalim. Duladim are hanging. I.e., lo alenu, the cow got in an accident, the ox got in an accident, and it has a piece of either an aver, a limb that's hanging off, it's hanging by a thread, okay, and it was almost killed, and the limb is hanging, midulda means hanging by a thread, or basar, a piece of flesh that got torn off, and that's also midulda. So, and this is going to talk about the idea of Tum'ah and Tara. Are these pieces mitame or not? So in order to understand this, we have to know there's two categories. There's something called Aver Min Hachai, but Medulda means it's not Aver Min Hachai. Medulda means still hanging, still connected. So you've heard of the term Aver Min Hachai. If a person cuts off a leg of an animal, it's Asr Ba'achila, but it's also Tameh. Okay, it's Mitame Kinevela. It's Mitame like in a Vela. So you have this lamb or the leg of lamb that was cut off of the lamb before while it was still alive. That's Minachai. Or Basar Minachai, a piece of its flesh. Basar Minachai is Tahor. When the Bartanura says we learn this out from the Psukim, that's not our matter of debate. But what about Aver and Basar Hamidul Dalim? Do those, while it's Midul Dal, and these are also obviously I think theoretical cases. So I wanted to know if it's Midul Dal, what is the status of the Tum'ah and the Tahara vis-a-vis these limbs? So if you have Aver, Basar Midul Dalim Babehima, so it's hanging on a thread. Mitam'in tumat achalim bimkomam. While it's still connected to the animal, it's no longer part of the animal. If it was part of the animal, then it could not become tameh because the animal is still tahor, it's still alive. So it can become tumat ochalim. It can become tumah of ochalim, but only if a person thinks about it. A Jew can't eat it. But if a non-Jew says, "Ooh, I'm going to eat that leg of lamb," once the animal is dead, because he's not allowed to eat aver minachai also, then it can have the status of ochalim, the leg. Bim koman in its face, it can still become tumat ochlin utzrichim hechsher. But in order for something to become tamei, remember from the Pesach Seder that you wash your hands before you have the karpas, because when you make the karpas wet, then it becomes muchshar hechsher, capable of being the kabel tuma. Okay, so these require hechsher. In order for the limb to become tamei, then the limb has to become wet. It has to be wet in order for it to become tamei. Okay, nishchita behema. Now, if the animal is slaughtered now, so what happens to this aver or this basar that's midulda? So remember, we said you couldn't eat it. You're not allowed to eat it because it was considered already disconnected from the animal. So now let's look at the Bartuna for a second. Nishchita behema nitaru militame od mishum nevel. Then it can't become a nevela anymore because the animal was shechted. So even though the piece of meat was like you have this aver midulda theoretically, that we said the Aver Midulda, right? It can become mitam, it can become tam'eh, too much ochlin. If you think about it, if a person wants to think about ochel, but now once you slaughter it, so now it's tahor. Okay, it's no longer it's still part of the animal and it was slaughtered. You can't eat it because of basar besadeh treifa. We learned it from the pasuk that it's inedible. It's not a nevela. The ain shchita oseh nipul. When you slaughter it, i.e., it doesn't consider it as if the limb has fallen off, so it's still part of the animal. So now the question is, when you slaughter the animal, is the blood of the shchita hechsher, because now the animal's wet. So the Tanakama says, let's go back to the Mishnah. So it's the blood of shchita, make it wet in order to now to become a kabel tuma. Then it's muchshar kabel tuma with the blood of the shchita. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Meir says. Rabbi Shimon says, no, lo huchsharu. It's not hechsher. The blood of the animal is not considered hechsher for tuma, okay? Because shchita is machsheret and not. He says the Kati says according to the Gemara, shchita is machsheret and not the dam. And here, since the shchita doesn't make the limb mutar, because the limb was not mutar because it was hanging off, therefore it's not muchshar l'kabel tuma. This is not a very likely case. Okay, I'm sorry. Meta behema. Let's say the animal was not slaughtered, but it died. So mita, the Bartanura says there's a concept called mita ose nipul. Okay, meta behema habasar tzarich hechsher. He says mita ose nipul. When the animal dies, then we consider it as if the hanging limb has now fallen off. That's what the Bartanura says. So therefore, meta behema habasar tzarich hechsher. So the basar that was midaldel, that was hanging, is now requires hechsher in order for it to be mekabel tuma. Ha'ever mitame mishum ever minachai. Now the limb is mitame ever minachai. Ve'eno mitame mishum ever nevela. Dibra mir. Because remember we said that when it dies, mita oseni pool. So now the ever is mitame. It's now considered full ever minachai. Let's go back to our chart, and it's mitame kinevela. Okay, so ever is if it's mita behema. The ever is mitame mishum ever minachai. Ve'eno mitame mishum ever nevela. The basar tzarich hechsher, because the basar is considered now as if it had fallen off the animal. Rabbi Shimon mitaher. Rabbi Shimon says it's tahor. Now, the Bartanura says Rabbi Shimon mitaher. You'll notice in the chart I didn't put Rabbi Shimon here because if you have an Ever Medudal and an animal dies, there's no way it could become tahor because if the animal dies, so the best case scenario is it's an avela. So the Bartanura says based on the Gemara that this Rabbi Shimon mitaher, you can't say Rabbi Shimon is on the seifa. The mimanavshach. Mita oseni pool. If the animal mita oseni pool, if mita causes it that if the aver is disconnected, the tam mishum aver minachai, then it's just regular aver minachai. And if in eno oseni pool, the tam mishum aver minavela, it should be at least in the veil. There's no way that this limb that was hanging off and then the animal died is now tahor in general. Hilkach, therefore you have to say al korchach Rabbi Shimon areisha kai. Rabbi Shimon is talking about the reisha. Aver basar medudalim bebehima. Mitamen utumat ochlim bimkomer. So let's go back. Okay, about the ratio. We said Abraham Abdul Dal. We said mitamin tumat ochlim, and they tzrichin hechsher. They're mitamin tumat ochlim. So the Gemara says that this is Rabbi Shimon mitaher. Mitaher, the Rabbi Shimon mitaher that goes at the very end. That goes here from the seifa. That Rabbi Shimon mitaher goes over here, and that's what Rabbi Shimon is talking about. If you have behima, okay, and Abraham midaldan, a regular behima, Rabbi Shimon here is mitaher. Okay, it's a little bit complicated. We'll stop here. Very complicated. Dedicate our learning, a little esoteric, very esoteric. Dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.